party and the vice president. He accused Dr. Bawumia of trying to distance himself from what he describes as the economic mismanagement under the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia administration. Speaking on the current affairs program, The Big Issue on Citi FM and Citi TV, Inusa Husseini described Bawumia's recent vision statements for the upcoming general elections as deceitful and betraying.
On February 7, 2024, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia addressed a large crowd of NPP supporters in Accra, outlining his administration's achievements, particularly in agriculture and digitalization. While laying out his policies for the upcoming elections, Dr. Bawumia referred to himself as a driver's mate in his current administration, a move perceived by many as an attempt to evade responsibility for the alleged economic mismanagement. Inusa Husseini, the former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, was among those who found Dr. Bawumia's statement evasive and unacceptable.
I'm disappointed in Bawumia's speech because it appears to have the color of deceit and untruthfulness. That's why we are disappointed. Because knowing all these things we know about governance, measuring it against our expectations when he was elected into office, for him to come tell us that what we thought was the case isn't actually the case, then leaves everybody confused. Now, when you listen to Bawumia, if that speech was not a speech that was intended to project him, if you come to the conclusion that that was not a speech intended to project him, you cannot miss the fact that laced in that speech were, if you want, traces of betrayal and and cast him as a traitor.
Former Member of Parliament for Kaikui North, Husseini Issa, contends that Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia is ready to assume full governance responsibilities.
Everyone else, including cabinet, is advisory to the president. So if you head a subcommittee of a cabinet, which itself is advisory, and your committee is advisory, you can churn out whatever advice you want. But the person in whom executive power is vested has the final say, because he has gone for elections.
Some of the things Dr. Bawumia is
So this departure that we are talking about. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is preparing himself for that executive powers so that he will be the final say when he is voted into power come January 2025.
Right.
So it was important that this statement gave a departure from him as a vice president, as a running mate that we have known over the years, to someone who is ready, willing, and not asking for a honeymoon period when he becomes the president of this nation.
Right.
He needed to spell out his vision for the nation. He needed to spell out his priorities, and that is what he set out to achieve last Wednesday, and I think that he was spot on.
Franklin Kujo, president of Imani Africa, praised the NPP flag bearer for implementing a business-friendly flat tax regime.
E-levy particularly, if we look at the conversations that we had, were very difficult. And as Dr. Sarkodie actually says, I mean, we did a survey and found out that about almost 90% of Ghanaians were against it entirely. So those times, I'm not saying you should have come out to condemn it at the time, but at least just listening to him would have been useful. Well, now he says until he gets power, he's not able to do that. But now that he has power, he'll be able to do that. E-levy has eaten into our savings and decimated some of our livelihoods. If you add that to the draconian debt exchange that we had, right? So all these things have gone on, and for some reason, we didn't hear much from him. Well, he says he's likely to be your retribution. We hope so. But on e-levy, and again, probably on the taxes level, I particularly am happy about the flat tax issue, because see, the flat tax really, obviously is graduated. And I remember the countries like Estonia, I was on a panel with the former Estonian Prime Minister when he was a